Hello out there, and today we are finally wrapping up my knife collection video update for 2019. This is part 3. It will be the final part, hopefully coming in right around 20 minutes. I just filmed this video again a minute ago, and it was just way too long, so I'm going to try to cut it down as much as possible. But if there is anything in this video that interests you, that you want to hear more about, definitely let me know. This is going to be at least for me, the most interesting of the whole collection video update, because there's so many different odds and ends. You know, we're going to have fixed blades, we're going to have slip joints, we're going to have the nicest knives in my collection and the crappiest, some of the cheapest, some of the most expensive, OTFs, like just things that you wouldn't usually see on the channel, you're going to see in this video today. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I had to do a lot of digging in order to find all these knives, but I wanted to represent everything in the collection in this update, and I think I've come pretty close to doing that. So we're going to start with this group of knives right here. These are the Bokers that I have, starting with the Keyhone up top. This is a Lucas Burnley design in D2 steel, modified by my buddy Nick Maffei. Unfortunately, you can see where there's some rust that came through. The D2 just gets really easy to show corrosion, to get corrosion, I guess, when you open up the pores by etching it. And if you don't maintain it, especially down here in Florida, that can happen without you really realizing it, and that happened with this knife. Really good little design, though, from Boker. I'm not always impressed with their build qualities, but this is a good one. Titanium frame lock, D2 steel. And yeah, it sort of flew under the radar for a lot of people, but it is a good one to look into. Another one from them that I like a lot is the Gust from 2019. Picked this one up at Blade Show, also in D2. Stainless steel frame lock on this one. It is pretty hefty, but just a beautiful, like, gold-colored stainless steel scale on this Serge Panchenko design. So yeah, very good knife. I think this was like 50, 55 bucks, something like that. And then this last one. So I had to look up which model this was. I couldn't remember what it was, and in that research I realized this is probably a fake. So if you take a look at it, the Boker Plus is printed all wonky. It's not, you know, straight the way that it should be. It's just off to like an angle. The hardware does not look the way authentic hardware looks. The I in Taiwan is actually an L. Pretty sure this is not a legitimate knife. But again, I was grabbing these knives from places that, I mean, I haven't even seen this knife for probably a year. Didn't realize I had it, so yeah. So finding out these things, it's been a fun adventure putting this video together, that's for sure. So those are the Bokers, the folding Bokers at least. But now we're going to get into fixed blades, and I do have a fixed blade Boker. And this is going to be weird, guys, huh? Like, when have you ever seen a fixed blade on this channel? But here is a Boker fixed blade. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head. I will put it in right here so you can know what it's called. But this one came to me from my buddy Jacob, Harbor Master Up, traded me this knife. Really comfortable, 440C blade, really nice stone wash. Excellent looking scales too, and built for someone with big hands. So I don't use fixed blades very often, so I don't have much need to have very many of them. And when I do use them, you know, I really never use this one, but it's there. So yeah. And continuing with fixed blades, I have one CRKT that I forgot to talk about in my CRKT video. And that's because this one stays in a kit. It stays in like a little mini fire starting tin that I have. And this is the Minimalist, Foltz Minimalist, excuse me. I took the bead blast off, just polished this one up, so gave it more of like a satiny kind of finish. Really like this knife though. I used to wear neck knives every now and then. I don't so much anymore, so this one just stays in a kit, and it's perfectly fine there. It's in a great place. You're going to hear, basically, most of these fixed blades are going to be in kits. Here's another one. This is in my bug out bag. This is the Kershaw, I think it's called the Mini Skinner. But this is a long discontinued knife. Comes with a fun little leather sheath, so if you were going to EDC a fixed blade, this would be a good small one to carry. Orange scales on this one makes it easy to find. This is a USA made and Sandvik steel knife, I believe. So yeah, just a good one that I keep in my bug out bag, and never really have occasion to pull out, except for now. I do have one Mora. This is the companion. So really good looking knife. I decided I wanted to mod it and and dye the sheath, and I never got around to doing that. So all the nail polish is on here, and I never finished the job. And that also might be a recurring theme in this with a number of the mods that you'll see today, just like knives that I started and never really finished. And yeah, so need to get back to this perhaps one day. And now, guys, you're not going to be able to believe your ears, but we have a couple Gerbers. This is true. A couple Gerbers that you're going to see on the channel. For those of you who don't know, one of my most viewed videos and my most disliked video is about why I'm done with Gerber. A video from a couple years ago now, just about how I went through the process of giving the company every chance that I could, and then decided to stop buying their products. And I had made that decision long before I actually posted the video, so it's been years and years since I've purchased a Gerber product, but I didn't get rid of all of them when that happened. So I still have a few lying around, and so we're going to go through those right now. This one, I believe, is called the Big Rock Camp Knife. Don't know what steel is on this. It is a Chinese-produced knife. Very comfortable in hand, though. I know it was very favorably reviewed, but I don't have any idea how well it would really perform if you had to use it a lot. You know, I've never been in that situation, but I do just like the comfortable ergos of it. And yeah, for like 15 bucks, I think it was a pretty decent purchase back in the day. And yeah, for that reason, who knows when I might need this or when someone I know might need this, so I don't get rid of it. And then the last Gerber fixed blade that I have is the Prodigy. And this one is my main fixed blade in my bug out bag. A little bit more of a tactical feel to this just because the ramp keeps it from being like a great kind of bushcraft knife, maybe more for piercing. This one has seen a little bit more use. I've used it with like yard work too every now and then, but now you can see I just like, if I go outside and like practice building fires, I'll use this every now and then just to make sure I can still do that. But for the most part, this is just like the backup of a backup of a backup, last ditch kind of thing. And yeah, we're going to stay with Gerbers. I have two Gerber folding knives. This is the Paraframe 2. I've talked about this knife on the channel a few times before. Not a bad knife, and one of my earliest knives in the collection. It works. It never let me down. The steel is super soft, whatever it is, but there are plenty worse knives out there. This next one, I actually like. This is the Mini Remix. I believe that's what it's called, the Mini Remix. This is, again, just another knife that goes into a bag. And it's one of those that if I'm carrying a knife at work and something happens to it and I lose it and my backup knife isn't there, then like this one's there. So it's good to have. I really like the blade. I like the design. Locks up really well, which is not always the case for Gerbers. So yeah, if it does the job, there's no reason to get rid of it. So I stick with it. All right, now let's bring out a Civivi, a We, and let's talk about those. So I only have one Civivi knife. It is the Elementum. This is the one I picked up at Blade Show this year. Really like this one. Talked about it a lot in the review, just about how well designed and executed this was. Just a great all-around EDC knife. The We is the Rectifier. This one was originally in green, I believe, and I dyed it black. And also did a little bit of anno on the back, a little bit of heat anno. Can't really tell, but there's some pops of bronze that come in. Problem with this knife is that all the screws are sort of different sizes, and I didn't realize that, and I didn't put it back together right. I had to look it up and search a video. Zelric helped me out with it, and I thought I put it back together right the second time, but there's a little bit of up and down play, so need to revisit this one at some point. All right, what should we get into now? Let's go to slip joints. I'll bring out all the GECs first, and then we'll go through those real quick. Alright, so at the bottom here, we have the Northwood signal jack, then we have the GEC 15, the 25, the 85, and the 6. The 25 is from 2015. I think everything else is from 2018 or 2019. Yeah. But I have slips for a few of these knives. The Northwoods comes with a slip. This Knife Ship Free slip is really good for the 25 here. It fits pretty much perfectly. And then I had a slip made for the 85. I'm not planning on keeping all of these knives, but I really want to get slips made for both of these two, the 6 and the 15, so that I can carry them. I have no problem with like the patinaing and the rusting that's going to happen, especially in Florida where I am. And you know, just the other day I polished this knife up again and took care of some of that. That's just a maintenance kind of thing, no big deal. But I don't like when they just bounce around in my pocket and they make a lot of noise. So that's really what I like having a slip for. So I want to get those made for those two knives. And hopefully, if I can do that, the slips will be versatile and I'll be able to put maybe this case teardrop in one of them, which is pretty similar sized. And I also have this Victorinox that I always forget the name of. I know it's an Alox, but I don't know which exact one. And then I am going to be doing a video, I think, eventually, just on this next knife on its own. And this is a Rough Rider. One of the most inexpensive knives I own. Can't remember how I got it. Maybe someone sent it to me in a trade. I think this is 440A steel. But this knife is pretty darn good and pretty darn good looking for the price you pay. And yeah, I am impressed with it. Alright guys, and we're going to be getting into a few modded knives now, and just for your information, everything might slow down just a little bit. I'm going left-handed only now because I just closed this case teardrop on one of my fingers. It's bleeding pretty heavily as far as things go, so yeah, it might slow down things a little bit, but let's press on. And what we have up here is the only cold steel in my collection right now. This is the Tough Light. Really great EDC knife, guys. This is one of those knives that if you know someone who just carries a box cutter, this is a good one to recommend to them. What happened with mine was I broke off the tip just because I used it a lot at work and was prying with it. Shouldn't have with AUS 8 steel, just for your information. And so I ended up modding it and etching it and reshaping it in order to, I don't know, to try to make it look like uniform. I ended up doing that etch, and I don't know, it looks fine. Don't really use this anymore, but obviously there's no value here anymore, so it just stays in the collection. And here's the Rake P831. This is a neat little one that I did the first time. I think this was one of the first times I did that that like speckled kind of pattern in Anno. So cool knife. This one is 14C28N. Definitely need to get back to it and finish this up, revisit this mod, and try to get this centering fixed. So we have those two. And yeah, I have a couple more modded knives that I wanted to show you. Here is an Ontario Rat 2. This is actually the first knife that I ever dyed the scales of. So these two Rat 2s were both pink scaled to start with, and these are the AUS 8 versions. One of my early mods, early acid etches, so this one is a pretty cool one. And then down here, this one has my wedding date, because I modded this knife for myself, and then I did another one almost the exact same way for my dad. So just to commemorate the day. Pretty cool little knives, those Rat 2s. Alright, so moving on, we've got a couple knives from Jesper Voxnes. So we have that right there is the GiantMouse Ace Biblio. This is in the black G10. I got this from Vox himself at Blade Show this year, and then I very recently talked about this knife, the Viper Boulogne. One of my favorites of the year, just an excellent knife. Both of these are an M390. If I had to choose between the two, I definitely prefer the Viper. The Ace Biblio is one of those like really great EDCs, but it just doesn't wow me. You know, it's I don't know. Just it does everything pretty well, jack of all trades, but maybe a master of none kind of thing. Let's talk about Burk blades. So here's the Burk Blade Slim, and here is the Burk Blades Mini Iron Pup. So the Iron Pup, this knife is the one that got me introduced to Burk blades. I had never heard of them. Bumped into their booth at Blade Show 2018 with my buddy Machete J. We both picked up one of these. Beautiful knife, manufactured by We, S35VN, really well made. Yeah, I can't say enough about this knife. And then when the Slim got announced for pre-order, I got in on that. And this is one of the best made knives that I've ever had in my collection. It's awesome. It is remarkably good. And this one is in, yeah, you can see. Oh well. All right. So this one is the satin blade with the like red micarta handle scales. I really prefer the satin with all the ones that they had, and that's why I went with this. You know, there's a lot of other versions that I think are more popular, but I just really dig that satin blade with the micarta. And so often when you see like micarta handle scales, the blade's always stonewashed, and I don't think that contrast is as good looking as this. But this knife, again, also by We, also in S35, it's just fantastic. They're making these in M390 now. Carbon fiber, I mean, so many great configurations. We have just a few knives left. We have a couple OTFs, so let's get into those. So, yeah, whoever thought I'd have OTFs on the channel. And guys, this right here is not blood. Don't worry, that is, I believe it's nail polish. Maybe. But these right here, these OTFs, they never get used. This one is a Lightning OTF. I don't know where I got these, to be honest. Maybe someone sent them to me. The finish on this is messed up because I was testing some process. Don't remember what, but you know, I can't really carry these knives, so I don't really worry about using them for any kind of test or anything. This one, don't know what the brand is on this, but it is double-edged, which is completely illegal just about everywhere, to be honest. So, yeah. They are a lot of fun to actuate, though. So there's that. What else do we have? Here is the Browse Blade Spectre. This is a really good EDC knife, guys. D2 steel, stainless steel frame lock, but a ton of machining on the inside just to like create as little extra weight as possible with that frame lock. And yeah, it's just a good knife. D2 steel. Not a very popular knife in the $160 price range, but it definitely gets the job done for me. Alright, and what do we have left? We have a couple budget ones, a couple oddballs, and we got some fun stuff still. And we also, let's get into this one. The nicest knife in the collection right here. And this knife is the small Inkosi. Lots of snail trails on this one, trying to make sure the light hits them. It's funny because some knives I'll try to protect. You know, I was talking about not carrying like my slip joints without slips. This knife, I have no urge, no need, no worry when it comes to carrying this. If it gets scratched up, it does. And I don't know why my mentality about this is different than with other knives. Not all other knives, but just like, you know, you'd think that a knife of this price I'd want to protect more, but no, it just doesn't matter. So I do want to get a Sebenza, but I guess at this point I'm waiting for the Sebenza 31 because this is the only CRK that I've ever had to this date. We'll go from that to the only Ganzo that I own right now. This is the FH11 D2 steel. Pretty good design, really nice action on this knife. What was this, like 15 or 16 bucks? This was all the rage when this one came out, guys. Like, people were just like crazy about how good this knife was. Mine has a little bit of up and down movement, nothing too major, but I wish it wasn't there. I'd sacrifice a lot of that smoothness for better lockup. So that's just me. And let's get into a couple gifts. Patty, if you were watching this, I bet you thought I forgot about these two. But Patty's Potato Peelers sent me a couple knives a while back, and they don't get carried. They basically just sit on my desk, and sometimes I have to cut a piece of paper or cut a tag or something, and here they are. But they're really well-made knives, and this one right here is a San Renmu little keychain knife, probably 8 CR. But yeah, just very well executed. Good lockup on the liner lock, comfortable in hand. Good little looking recurved blade there. So yeah, I do like this knife. And he also sent me this, and this looks like a novelty, but that would be deceiving. The dragon I can do without. I don't need that on a knife. You can see what it's called. That's the only information I know about it. But believe it or not, this thing, which is technically, I guess, a frame lock, locks up perfectly. It's a good knife. Like, I endorse this knife. Believe it or not. So, you know, I don't have very many occasions where I would need it. I wish I could remove the clip, but the way that it's like pinned in, I can't. If you could remove the clip, then it would be super thin, like super, super thin, and might even fit in like a, you know, wallet or like a, you know, little sleeve like that. But, I mean, still just a pretty neat little knife. And the fact that it's functional is a pleasant surprise. All right, last few that we have. Here's a Browning Black Label knife that I talked about on the channel a while back. For what it is, it's pretty darn well executed. Again, this like decoration on the blade, I don't need it. I don't like it. I would probably carry this knife a lot more. And by that, I mean, I'd carry it every now and then if it didn't have that design. But as it is, I mean, the handle scales are really good. The lockup is good. The action is good. This isn't 8 CR, I don't think. I think it's something like lesser than that, but still a pretty decent knife right there. The worst knife in my collection is right here. This is by a company called Dajo. And I'd heard some good reviews about some of their products, and I wanted to check one out, and I did that, and it's just terribly built. It doesn't really lock up well at all. It would not pass a spine whack test at all. I mean, look at that lock bar. Sort of ridiculous. But it also has 0 detent. It's a flipper that doesn't flip. I mean, it's just a real crappy knife for like 25 bucks too. So yeah, it definitely isn't anything special at all. One thing that's cool is that this part right here, and let me see if I can just do it right here. This part pops out and is tweezers. So that's cool and innovative. But I mean, you're not paying 25 bucks for a pair of tweezers. You're paying for a knife, and you're not getting a functional knife. So yeah, it sort of sucks. All right, last few. We have a QSP. This is the QSP Nokomis, designed by Minnesota Knife Guy. So, a really cool design here. And we have a recent pickup. This is a 511. Can't remember the name of this one. I'll put it right down here. Somebody told me. But this is actually a pretty well-built knife. Just picked this one up a week or so ago. A review on this one is coming soon. But again, like I said, guys, if there's anything in particular that you're interested in that you want to hear more about, let me know. Man, I haven't even shown this one yet. So here is the Case and Southern Grind, CG01, my knife of the year for 2018. Beautiful aluminum frame lock, S35 VN steel. Great knife. And is that it? Wow. Yeah, that's it, guys. That is everything. So that is the entire collection over the course of 3 videos. Everything that I have. Probably leaving something out. Let's be real, but But yeah, that's all it is. So anything you want to hear more about, any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know down below. I really appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with me. I will talk with you soon. Have a good one.